Certain teams in the week following a brawl might come up, I don't know, a bit shy, a bit short. Not these Niners. A touchdown every quarter spells 28 points in a 28-16 divisional win over the Seattle Seahawks. They also, in a way, hold the Seahawks not just at arm's reach, but in arm's reach of the playoff conversation now. 49ers doing it with all the big guns. Christian McCaffrey, a $145 on the ground. Didn't see the end zone there. George Kittle did. Deebo Samuel did. a $149 on 7 grabs. 6 receptions for a $128 for Brandon Ayuk. They got stars, and the stars were balling here on Sunday. Game Day Scoreboard is presented by Geico. Joe Musso alongside Ryan Wilson here to break this one down. Ryan, we know the Niners are good. We know they're great. Heck, to see all of their position players performing, you know, there's that one ball theory. You can't get everybody involved on every single day, but still they find a way to. How do you really characterize the way they go about implementing and executing this offense?
Well, when you look at the stats, it almost feels like they can find a way to get everyone the ball, even though there is only one football. You talked about McCaffrey, 145 in terms of rushing. Deebo and Brandon Ayuk went over 126 combined, or individually in terms of the pass game. We saw what Brock Purdy did on 19 completions. He had 368 yards. So it feels like there is enough footballs to go around on a team that has so many stars because, to your point, Joe, that is typically the concern when you put together a quote-unquote dream team. Typically, those two words don't work out by the end of the run that you're hoping to go on. This does not feel like the case here, and I think it goes back to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch pushing all the right buttons in terms of building this team. And by the way, no one's talking about the Trey Lance debacle that was, trading up to number 3 to take him at quarterback because he was supposed to be the quarterback of the future because you land Brock Purdy. If it makes you feel better, pretend you took Brock Purdy 3rd overall and Trey Lance 7th. At the end of the day, the way they built this team on both sides of the ball, you replace Robert Saleh with DeMeco Ryans as defensive coordinator. In comes Steve Wilks. They do not miss a beat. The only issue, and we saw that during a 3-game losing streak, is injuries. Because if guys are healthy, good luck trying to stop them. They've won now 5. They're 5-0 since their bye, Joe. They won by 12 points today. That's their smallest margin of victory in those 5 wins. That's how dominant they've been.
And it could have been larger, some turnovers in the second half, and then kneeling on it on the 30 inside it. It could have been an even greater margin of victory for this team that continues to dominate the opponents, that they roll in front of them. You mentioned Brock Purdy, and Vegas is caught up, co-favorite coming into the week for the MVP award. Now, votes are a different thing. Is perception still lagging on Purdy? I mean, look at the numbers today. 19 to 27, 368, 2 touchdowns. Someone's got to distribute that ball, and he's doing it at an expert level right now.
Absolutely. And I think I don't know if he's being done a disservice in terms of how people on the outside are viewing him. I would imagine Kyle Shanahan is ecstatic to have Brock Purdy in his offense. And the way he runs that offense, when you go back and watch the throws that Brock Purdy makes, they are big boy, high level, top 10 quarterback, perhaps top 5 quarterback type throws. He throws with anticipation as well as anyone in this league. He throws with accuracy. He is incredibly dangerous. Intermediate routes and intermediate and shorter routes, he will carve you up. It helps to have those players out there running those routes, of course, but I think he is exactly the quarterback that Kyle Shanahan envisioned when he's gone through these players previously to fill that role. In comes Brock Purdy out of nowhere, and he's certainly fits the bill, but he's every bit the MVP, and I think it's unfair to him, Joe, to say that, well, he only excels in this system, because I think he would excel in a lot of systems, and there are a lot of teams that would love to have him as their quarterback.
And there might be a perception issue with the 2 top wide receivers on this team, Ayuk and Deebo. Like you said, a $120 plus for each of them, and maybe not the first 2 names that we mentioned when talking about the top tandems in this league, but we should. We're going to give out a game ball here in just a moment, but a thought first on the Seahawks, who have now lost 4 straight, find themselves sub 500 for the first time this season. I know you and plenty others, myself included, were very high on this team. They look like a complete football team there, week 8, week 9, thereabout. Defense, offense, playing complementary football. Obviously different quarterback in this instance. Where has that complementary football gone in your eyes?
And I think that's part of it, right? Because Geno Smith has been the leader of this team. And while he hasn't played up to the level that we saw a year ago, he has done enough for them to win football games. I mean, the way they played against the Cowboys to lose against a really good Cowboys team, there are no moral victories in the NFL. I say that all the time, and that was a case of that. I thought that Drew Lock came out and competed, made a great throw early on to DK Metcalf, but that wasn't sustainable. We saw the interception that he threw later, ended up with 2 total. And you're not going to win without your franchise quarterback out there, unless, of course, you're Brock Purdy replacing Jimmy Garoppolo. But that's the 49ers and their special outfit. But I think what happened, the Seahawks defense also regressed over the course of the last few weeks. They haven't been quite as good as they were early on, and that taken together with how the offense hasn't been hitting on all cylinders like they were last year when Geno was red hot and got that new deal over the summer, brings us to where we are now. Not the end of the world loss, but at 6-7, even in the NFC, you have a lot of work ahead of you in an incredibly tough division, and you need to get your quarterback back healthy. Geno probably will be ready to go, I'd imagine, next week with just a groin injury, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Momentum exists in both directions. The momentum for Seattle headed the wrong direction. It's time now for your Geico Easy Choice for best performance here in this NFC West matchup. Game ball goes to who, Ryan Wilson?
I wanted to go with Brandon Ayuk, but I had a conversation with someone upstairs. I won't tell you who it was.
Who was that?
Looked a lot like you. A little more handsome, but
wow.
Going with Deebo Samuel. And we were watching that game unfold. Deebo takes the end around for the touchdown, had the big play prior to that to set up that touchdown, and he is, in fact, the difference maker. I think it's a fun conversation to have when one of your biggest concerns is Kyle Shanahan is, who is the best player in my offense? Is it Christian McCaffrey? No. Is it Brandon Ayuk? No. Is it Trent Williams? Maybe. Is it Deebo Samuel? He's the engine that makes this unit run. Brock Purdy is somehow a distant fifth in this conversation. But this team goes as far as a healthy Deebo Samuel takes him, along with Trent Williams at left tackle. But they are so much fun to watch. And again, Kyle Shanahan is the perfect coach. Brock Purdy is the perfect quarterback. And when you have the pieces around them, and we talked a little bit about this with Pep Guardiola, the head coach of, or the manager for Man City, you have the best players in the world, and you're the best coach in the world, things typically work out. That's what this 49ers team feels like.
I thought you were going to tie that back and give me a little pep nod there, but
you are Pep's.
You needed a pep talk. That's all it was.
You're Pep spirit animal.
Deebo Samuel coming up with the game ball in this one. He is the wild card in this offense. You put him down, and it's a full house, and there are stars all over that field. Each one leading on a different week. This week and last, it was Deebo, but
that's a good list.
CMC. Yeah, this is quite the list to be on, too. Longest streak with a $130 from scrimmage against any opponent. CMC loves himself some SEA. 6 straight of a $130 plus. Like we said, they got talent everywhere.